Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we are going to work on reworking a dish garden. So our client came in and brought us this very haggard dish garden, and so she asked that we replace the plants in it, and so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and pull the plants that are in here out, and what I may do is take those and see if I can't revive them. But I'm going to go ahead and pull those right out of this dish, and I'm going to drop them right into this this pot. Now, a lot of the problem with dish gardens most of the time is they have a hard time keeping water from sitting on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this soil and I am going to dump it out. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and dump it in the trash. So I have my trash can here. You can see I have soil in there, and a lot of the problem is it's just so dry. So I'm going to take it and dump that out. I'm going to leave a little bit in the bottom, but I dumped most of it out. So I just kind of dump that out. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add a little bit of gravel to the bottom. Now the reason I'm adding these rocks to the bottom is because what that's going to do is keep this soil, it'll keep the plant's roots from sitting in the water. So if I add those rocks to the bottom, you can kind of see it there. If I add the rocks to the bottom, when you fill it up with water, if there's any excess water left in the container, it'll go down into the rocks, and the plants themselves will not be sitting in water. So there we have our rocks down in the bottom. Next, we're going to take a little bit of potting soil. So I like to use a good potting soil. This is Miracle Grow potting soil. And I'm just going to take that soil and I'm going to fill up my container with that potting soil. And so I'm going to take that soil and just kind of work it around. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water to this soil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little water to that soil because it was a little dry. So we want to make sure that that our soil is going to be damp for our plants. So I'm just adding a little water to that soil and kind of mix it up so that it's not so dry. A lot of times it's hard to get that soil. If it's real dry, it's hard to get it to hold water. So if you'll go ahead and make sure that you get it good and damp, that always works great. Okay, so I've added water to my soil. You can see my hand. So I've added water to the soil. Next, what I'm going to do is I am going to take my plants. I'm going to start out with a tall plant. So I have a peace lily here. So I'm going to work it towards the back of the container. So I'm just taking my hands and I'm opening a hole. I'm taking and kind of pinching that pot to pull it out of this pot. Now these roots are really tight. So I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to pull on these and open them up just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to use a floral knife. And I'm going to just kind of open those roots up. So just kind of stick your knife in, open up those roots, because that's the reason it won't stay hydrated, is because look at all those roots that were in that little pot. So you can see I'm just kind of working that knife through that root ball and opening up that root. Okay, I'm going to open me a little hole there and work my peace lily right down into my planter. Put that down. Next, I'm going to take a pothos. So here's a little pothos plant. I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to pull it right out of its little grower's pot. take that soil, lift it back, and tuck him right down into that pot. Go ahead and pick up any soil that has spilled over and put it in there. And then next I'm going to take this little ivy. It's pretty small. Loosen up that soil and push him right down into that pot. Go ahead and loosen him up a little bit, but push him right down into that pot. Take your fingers and clean off the edge. You're gonna want to probably take a paper towel to clean it up real good because my hands are dirty. But take a paper towel and clean it up real good. Go ahead and push those right down in. Make sure that they're good and in the soil. To finish off this container, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of moss. So I have a little bit of Spanish moss. Turn him around and look at him real quick. I've got my plants are a little dirty, but that's okay. I'm going to, in the end, I will take some paper towels and clean him up. I'm going to take this moss, I'm kind of stretching it out, and I'm going to work it right over that soil, just pressing it right down over all of those plants to cover up that soil. Okay, so there it is. There's our dish garden. Next, what I'm going to do to give it a really pretty finished look, I'm going to add a bow to this. Okay, to clean off my container, I just brought in a towel, and I'm just going to take my towel and clean off that container. And I'm just wiping that container really good. And if there's any soil on the leaves, you can certainly take that and wipe that soil right off those leaves, but come all the way around and clean up that container really good. To give it a little bit of a spring look, I'm going to add this fun little plaid bow. And I'm just gonna do a couple of loops just to kind of freshen it up and make it look like spring. Got a little soil on my shirt. So I'm going to take this bow, and it's just a 4-looped bow. It's got 2 loops on each side, so nothing too fancy or too large. I'm going to take a little wire and add it to that bow. Now remember, if you have any type of container that doesn't have a drain hole, always add some rocks or some stones to the bottom of that container. And what that's going to do is just keep that water from filling up the soil. It'll go down into those rocks and it'll slowly evaporate. That way your plants won't drown. It's very important. Water is very important to plants, right? So it's important that it's not underwatered, but it's certainly just as important that it's not overwatered. And so those little stones are gonna help with keeping the plant from being overwatered. So I just took that little bow and I tucked him right into that. I'm gonna break off that, there we go. I tucked him right down in to that container just to give us a pretty little spring touch. But it's neutral enough that it won't take away from the container or the room that it's going to go in. But here is a very simple way to make a dish garden. You can pick up these small plants. You can pick them up at your local flower shop. You can pick them up at your local garden center. Most often your garden center will have 4-inch pots, but you can use any type of container. Just always remember, if it doesn't have that drainage hole, to add stones to the bottom, and it's going to help with drainage. But if it's a container that you can drill holes into, that's nice too. But anything will work. As long as it holds soil, it will work as a dish garden. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope this gives you you an idea of how to plant a dish garden and how to take care of one. If you have any questions about what we do here at our flower shop, please contact us. We're happy to answer those questions. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you real soon.